Wake up. It's the Sleep Unplugged podcast, episode 102 New Insomnia Solutions. Wrap it up and let me sleep. Welcome, everyone, to the Sleep Unplugged podcast. My name is Chris Winter. I'm a neurologist and sleep specialist and your host for this new episode that I hope will become a tradition. So, if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you are probably aware that every Black Friday, around that time near Thanksgiving, when the big sales happen, we have a big episode where we talk about products that might be helpful for somebody's sleep. And in this, to quote a line from The Miracle of Joey Ramone, one of my great song off of No Line on the Horizon, YouTube's album, I get so many things I don't deserve. Nothing could be truer than the fact that people send me stuff related to sleep, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. And I'm very appreciative of those things, but I sometimes can't keep up with, well, okay, I've gotten this device or I've gotten this thing, I'll try it out, probably should post something about it, what my thoughts were, etc. So it's hard to kind of keep up with those things. So I thought, well, why not, instead of making everybody wait until the end of the year for the products, we'll just do it twice a year. We'll have the Black Friday, Christmas time, holiday edition, things to get for your family around that time. But then we'll also do a summer buying guide. And what better time than the beginning of June to do that? So since it's the beginning of June, this is the first Monday of June, I thought it would really dovetail nicely with our Insomnia First Monday series, because a lot of these things I think could, for the right person, maybe be helpful for somebody's sleep. So we'll go through 11 devices, because 10 is always better than 11 if you believe Nigel Tufnell, and we'll just knock them out. And I'm really thankful to everybody who sent me products and devices. It's really great to have people listening and the platform to talk about these things. So if you want to tell us about products that have been helpful to your sleep, if you have tried these products out and want to give us your review, whether or not you think it's worthwhile or not, let us know. And certainly, if you're somebody who's been struggling with sleep and you try one of these things out and have a positive experience with it, we would love to know about that here at the Sleep Unplugged podcast, because it's really all about empowering you to sleep better and feel better. As simple as that. So if you want to get in touch with the show, it's easy. Dr. Chris Winter Twitter, Dr. Chris Winter Instagram, Dr. Chris Winter TikTok. We have a YouTube page where we post the videos of all of our content. This is a podcast, but we have a YouTube page where we post the videos of our podcast. And this episode in particular might be a helpful one to watch so you can actually see the product. So if you're listening, I'm actually holding the products and showing you the products during this episode. In fact, some of the boxes and packaging, and you can kind of see behind me here, is one of our bigger products. It looks like a sandworm from Dune, is sitting back here, and we'll talk about it too. So before we get going, the song lyric that we will add to the Spotify playlist, and again, I think episode 104 will mark the end of the Spotify Sleep Unplugged playlist, volume 2. 105 will begin volume 3. So all of the music that we reference in our shows, we always add to the Spotify music playlist. And this week, the lyric is from one of my favorite artists going back to high school years, which is Midnight Oil. I was a huge Oil fan growing up. Love their albums. And this lyric, "Wrap It Up and Let Me Sleep," was from the song Sleep off of their 1984 album, Red Sails in the Sunset, which really was a huge and pivotal album for Midnight Oil. It was number one in Australia, really started to kind of launch their more global success. Some people think their fourth album, 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1, was the turning point. I happen to think it was probably Red Sails in the Sunset. And Sleep is one of my favorite songs off that album, as well as Minutes to Midnight. Midnight Oil, massively sort of a politically active group. Peter Garrett, their tall, bald front man, I think was very active in the policies and politics of Australia. There was some backlash with Midnight Oil as the years went on. They were so political, so outspoken about indigenous rights, but there was this kind of that conversation of, well, should a predominantly white band be the voice of indigenous Australia and the plight of the indigenous people? Not for me to decide, but by God, their music was outstanding. And it really paved the way for their sixth album, which was a huge album in the United States, Diesel and Dust. Best album of 1988, one of the top albums of the 80s, just a monumental. And I think a big, writer in Australia said that Diesel and Dust was the #1 album ever recorded by an Australian musical group. So shout out to Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust, Red Sails in the Sunset. I love the cover of Red Sails in the Sunset. It was actually Sydney Harbor, but after the apocalypse. And, growing up, looking at that and knowing the story behind it, it felt very unreal living what we're living right now in terms of climate change and political upheaval in a lot of places. It feels much more real and much more ominous, the cover of that album. So we'll put that on the Spotify playlist. Hope you enjoy it. And if you've never really dived into Midnight Oil, Red Sails in the Sunset would be a great place to start. So let's get into these products. Really excited to do it. The first one we're going to talk about is here over my shoulder. It is Ryze. And if anybody has ever listened to this podcast, I love coffee. I'm a huge coffee person. I am definitely a coffee snob. I don't have that sort of taste in food, alcohol, cheese. I'm just kind of a redneck that grew up in Southwest Virginia. However, I really dislike bad coffee, and I really don't have a lot of patience for people who don't know how to prepare it. Ever ordered a coffee and you drank it and it just immediately burned your tongue and burned the top of your roof of your mouth? It's such a rookie mistake. Coffee should be served at a particular temperature, and it always annoys me when people don't get that right. So Ryze, my point of saying this is I would drink coffee nearly continuously if it weren't terrible for your sleep. Caffeine at night's not great. So I'm constantly looking for something that I can use to take the place of that. And Ryze is a mushroom-based product. So it's a powder. This is the hot cocoa mix, but they also have a chicory, which is a kind of root coffee substitute. They have overnight oats, matcha, and then they have a coffee drink. And the hot cocoa is sort of designed to help with sleep. So it's got a combination of mushrooms, including reishi mushrooms, which are supposed to be calming, and then sort of sleep supporting ingredients, L-theanine, glycine, melatonin, zinc, all these things to kind of help support good sleep. So if you're somebody who struggles with sleep, it's Insomnia Monday. We're always talking and trying to figure out ways for people to sort of unwind. I like this because it's something that supports sleep. I think if you're somebody who struggles to, it takes you hours and hours to fall asleep, I don't think Ryze is going to put you to sleep, nor should it. But I do like the idea of using something in the evening that's warm. So we know you drink the Ryze, it warms your body as your body cools. That's a natural trigger for sleep. The ingredients are sleep supportive, but also that ritual of every night drinking your Ryze hot chocolate. You can make it with water or milk, is another sort of way that you can, sort of engage that chronotherapy, doing things at particular times of day to remind your body when it's time to sleep. So big fan of it. Give it a shot. let me know what you think. And we really appreciate the people who make Ryze for sending us some out there. And you can see mine is open for a reason. I do drink it. I do like it. Is it coffee? Hell no. But I can't drink coffee at night, and it certainly beats nothing. So I think it's really good. And just to let you know, some of the Ryze products do have coffee in them, which differs from some of the other plant-based, kind of coffee substitutes that do not. Sleep Super Latte we had talked about in a previous episode. So Ryze, actually, the Ryze coffee does have some coffee in it, just far less caffeine than typical. So the next, and just $27 for a package. You may be able to get it cheaper with a subscription. So just give or take, that's the price. The next one is this beautiful water bottle. It's the Python H2 Bionic molecular hydrogen water bottle. The most expensive product we'll talk about today, $333. I was really excited to get this. I'm going to show you. So it's full of water and you charge it. It's got a little charging port on the back. So this is fully charged. I'm going to turn the lights out here in the studio a little bit because I want you to be able to see kind of what happens here. So when you push the button and it starts, I'll hold it down here. It kind of lights up different colors and you can see the little bubbles starting to appear in it. And there's a little timer. So what it's doing, it's injecting the water with oxygen and hydrogen. And it's really pretty. So it's green to blue. You can see the kind of purple, the colors changing as it's doing this. So the question is, okay, $333, what's happening here in terms of putting this in the water? So I actually looked up hydrogenated water and found that there have been several studies about it. It was reviewed in 2 blinded investigations, and a total of 25 articles were included in a systematic review of this relatively recently. And I'm going to quote what this review article said. The potential benefits of hydrogen-rich water on various aspects of health, including exercise capacity, physical endurance, liver function, cardiovascular disease, mental health, COVID-19, oxidative stress, and anti-aging research, are a subject of growing interest and ongoing research. Although preliminary results in clinical trials and studies are encouraging, further research with larger sample sizes and rigorous methodologies is needed to substantiate these findings. So it's basically, look, they're feeling, look, this could be helpful. And if you look at the reviews of these products, they're actually quite good. So, people feel like this really helps them sort of recover, gives them energy during the day. A lot of people who gave reviews of it were saying, look, I've started using this instead of coffee to get a little bit of an energy boost during the day. I can tell you I've been using this for several weeks now. I like the way it tastes. In fact, I actually make my coffee in the morning with this water. Um, so I just basically do the oxidative process, put it in the tank of my machine, and then make my coffee. Have I noticed a big difference in my energy? I can't say I did when I was taking it. However, recently with travel, uh, I talked about last week, went to Annapolis, went to Charlottesville, my other home. I wasn't taking it with me. I was still exercising and did notice a pretty big drop off in some of my weightlifting. Now, it could be completely random or chance. It may have been because I wasn't eating well, or maybe wasn't resting well because of the stress of, some of the things that we were doing. But there definitely was a drop off. So now I'm back in my home here using this product, and we'll see if it kind of jumps up. So I think that it's sort of, like some of the things we've talked about on this show before, could potentially give people more energy during the day if that's something you struggle with because of your insomnia. But again, the price tag's pretty high. So I think we should set a pretty high bar with it. But I'll let this go. It's got about 2 more minutes to go, and we'll take a sip. And if I feel something during the podcast, I'll let you know. Now, the next product I want to bring up, I don't know if you remember the Somnox sleep robot. We talked about it a long time ago in the podcast. I think we talked about it in our product special #1, a little breathing device. And we did an episode not too long ago on the importance of breathing which I think is really important. That was episode 95. This is a little Somnox robot you kind of cuddle with, and it expands and contracts, and you match your breathing with it, and it helps kind of relax you and get you into a better state of sleep. It's sort of meant to be kind of infant size. You can kind of cuddle with it at night, and as you kind of involuntarily match your breathing with it, it's supposed to help you relax and sleep better. Now, taking that with you might be a challenge if you travel a lot. And I got sent a very interesting device called Moonbird. Moonbird retails for $199. And as you can see, it sort of fits in the palm of your hand. You kind of shake it to activate it, put your finger over the little monitor, and when you activate the app, the Moonbird gets bigger and smaller, just like the Somnox sleep robot, but it's handheld. And what's nice about it, it's sort of a personalized breathing app. It's a biofeedback device. It's giving you real-time feedback about your heart rate variability, and your ability to sort of match the breathing to what it wants you to do. And so it's a really nice thing to kind of have throughout the day. So it's really easy to pull it out of your desk. After your lunch break, you can pull it out, do a breathing episode, look at your statistics, and it really gives you the opportunity to sort of improve your breathing if you're somebody who needs a little bit more guidance. And I love it. Portable. I've traveled with it twice now. I actually took it with me on my trip to Annapolis, and I also took it with me on a day trip I just made to Atlanta and back. So this is the Moonbird. Really like it if you're somebody who's really trying to, if you listen to episode 95 of the podcast and you're trying to get more into your breathing, this is a great entry point into that. The next device is the Chill Pill, which you can see right here. So it is a little device that you use. It charges with the little thing right here, and you can kind of wrap it around your wrist. And basically, you sort of hold it during the night and it vibrates. And the vibration is based upon the company, is supposed to help you relax and sleep a little bit better. Um, so there's, vibrational therapy is certainly not new, and I can feel it when I put my finger on it. There's a little, I don't, I mean, shock is probably the right word, but it's not painful. There's a little shock that's kind of happening right now, and you can adjust the intensity of it with the little buttons here on the side. And so as you sleep, that little vibrational shock is supposed to help you relax and get to sleep. I'll tell you, not the most favorable reviews on Amazon, but I'm going to talk about another product in just a second, called Firefly, that does something similar for recovery. And we actually talked about Firefly in a previous episode as something that might be helpful for restless legs. So when I use this little device and kind of feel it in my hand, I wonder if the same thing sort of might happen. So, yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing to sort of get used to. I've slept with it before. I don't have a lot of difficulty sleeping. So I'd be very curious to think what people think about this in terms of their sleep. Chill Pill is $37, so you're not breaking the bank giving it a shot. It's super easy and portable. And I've already kind of gotten used to it right now holding it, and it's on a pretty intense setting right now. So as you fall asleep and kind of drop it, it's around your wrist. So easy to use. Want to thank the people at Chill Pill for giving it to me, and yeah, there you go. Easy. Not a pill to take through your via your mouth though, for sure. So we mentioned Firefly. This is the Firefly product, and it comes with little things that you can put around your legs. And so what's supposed to happen, this was designed for people who run, and they want to recover their legs faster. So you put this kind of right over your tibial nerve, and just like the Chill Pill, you can make it more intense or less intense by pushing these buttons, and it delivers a little jolt, a little shock, very subtle to that nerve, and you're kind of dialing it in just so it kind of is, improving blood flow and circulation to your legs. Put one on one leg, one on the other. I used it on a red-eye flight recently from Phoenix, and thought it really kind of showed some promise for me in terms of disrupting that restless leg feeling that I often get on airplanes. They can be reused, so I took mine off and put it back on its backing. It kind of sticks on almost like an EKG lead. So that's the Firefly. They retail for $99. And this will be a good time for, so you can see with this device, the hydrogenated water of the Python is done. You can drink it. It's a relatively small chamber. It is glass. Now you can unscrew the bottom, and this bottom will fit on certain other bottles. So you could actually use this to put hydrogen in a bigger container if you had it, as long as it was compatible with that device. Tastes great. Do I feel more energy? Not yet, but again, I'll let you know, energy for me is usually not much of a problem. So, Swanwick, we have talked about before. They make the blue blocking glasses that I really like. They also now make earplugs, as well as sleep mask. And the sleep mask I had right here. What did I do with this sleep mask? Shoot. Oh, here it is. Sleep mask I really like. I'll show it to you very quickly. It is sort of hollowed out here, if you can see. So there's a well for your eyes, so no pressure is being put on your eyes. There's this nice little thin piece of fabric near your nose that does a nice job of sealing off light. Very adjustable. Even the sides kind of block out light, but the whole thing is very airy. It's got that kind of athletic mesh feel. But when you put it on, I mean, it's complete blackout, and you don't have to put a lot of pressure on it to do that. So I really like this a lot. It fit really well for me. So that's the Swanwick sleep mask. They also have an earplugs kit. So they make these earplugs, really customizable. They come with all kinds of tips. I put them on watching TV. I thought they were very, very quiet, and they're very soft, easy to get out of your ear, and would be easy to sleep in. That's sort of the design there, that sound and noise reduction earplugs that you can sleep in. And these are retailing for $25. Lots of tips if you lose them or they don't fit one ear. One of my ears is clearly bigger than the other, because whenever I put one in on the right, the left always needs a slightly smaller size. This allowed you to do that very, very easily. I also got some earplugs from another company called BET Slumber. That's SLUMBUR. They were slightly less expensive, $17, and they were a little tinier. The little part that you used to get it in and out of your ear was very small. I found these to be very comfortable too. I was sitting there watching, I'm getting caught up on, I watched House of the Dragon. I don't know if you've watched that. That's what the Game of Thrones show. They're getting ready to premiere season 2. So my wife and I were rewatching season 1. So as we were sitting there watching, dragons fly around and people fight with swords, I actually popped these in and popped the Swanwick in kind of at the same time, and sort of listened to the show. I thought the Swanwicks did a slightly better job of muffling sound. Maybe the BET Slumbers, the small size of them might be more comfortable to sleep in over time. I slept in both, really didn't see much of a difference. Now, I will say, perhaps if I played around with the tips of the BET earplugs, maybe I could have found ones that fit even snugger. It would have blocked more sound, but I think you're not going to go wrong with either one of those. I want to thank both companies for sending those out to me. I really appreciate it. The next product is behind me here. It's a massive body pillow, 5.5 feet long, about 10 inches wide. It's made by a company called Organic Human Bean Body Pillow. Really comfortable, light, great materials that it's made from. Comes with sort of a pillowcase in different colors that you can put on it. And we use it kind of as a bolster on our bed. So if we're sitting in bed reading, we kind of have it behind us. And then at night, it's a wonderful pillow for tucking in behind somebody if they're trying to sleep on their side, because when we roll into our back, sometimes we snore. That can be sleep disruptive. So for some people, getting their body more comfortable can be a real help in terms of their insomnia. And I think that body pillow could do a really nice job of that if you've never used one. I mean, it can be bent and folded into a million different ways. I've even seen women who are pregnant kind of sit in it like a horseshoe, and it sort of supports their arms while they nurse the baby. If you have restless leg syndrome, sometimes having a pillow between your legs can be really helpful, kind of snuggling it like you would another individual, kind of having like that. So really thank them for sending that pillow. It's gotten a tremendous amount of use. And like I said, it kind of looks like that. I like to take it and move it around the bed when my dogs are sitting there and try to animate it like a sandworm, and it kind of freaks them out, which is a lot of fun too, and a completely different use of the pillow if you want to. The next one I'll mention are the grounding mats here. I've got the grounding well mat, which you can see here, kind of a rubbery mat with a cord. And we also have the grounding well sheet, which you can see has a little bit of, I think it's silver, kind of wiring embedded in the sheet. So when you're lying on it, here's the plug. This was the sheet that we used in our experiment. If you go back and look at the grounding, we actually did on episode 94 was on grounding. This was the sheet I used. I just want to give a follow-up. We did an experiment where I slept on the grounding mat, and I did not know if it was plugged in or not because the plug was covered by a box. Only my wife knew. So we did 7 days. The first 7 days matched up perfectly. When I wrote, I slept well, my wife wrote, yeah, it was plugged in. And then if I ever said I didn't sleep well, she said it wasn't plugged in. So I thought that was crazy. We did a second 7-day experiment. In that one, it matched up 4. It did not match up 3. So at this point, it's 11-3 synchronized between whether it was plugged in and my good sleep, and 3 without. So that's sort of what I expected before. So we can't really say one way or the other, but probably need to do several more weeks of doing it. And at some point, I'm going to do it. We're going to flip the script, and we have my wife sleep on it, and then I'll plug it in or not plug it in and not tell her, and we'll see if it matches up. So I told you I would do another week, which we did, and the score was 4 agreed, 3 disagreed. So again, that's 11 agree, 3 disagree total so far with the Grounding Well mat. Want to thank Grounding Well for sending that out to us. The final product I'll talk about today is another sleep mask, and it's made by a company called Aura Circle. It's very lightweight despite having electronics in it, both a light. I don't know if I turn it on if you'll be able to see anything happen here. Let's see what happens if I turn on it. Well, anyway, so generally speaking, when you turn it on, this light kind of lights up. And then there's also speakers here. So when you're putting it on, it actually allows you to have sound and light as part of the experience. So with the Aura app, you can turn on meditations, you can turn on different soundscapes. You can say to it, I want light associated with that, or I don't. I find it to be a really pleasing mask. I don't travel with it necessarily. I generally keep the Manta mask or maybe this new Swanwick mask with me now, just because it's lighter, doesn't take up as much space. I don't need to worry about charging it. But when I'm at home, it's a wonderful mask. It's very dark. Like I said, it's very light as well too. And I find the sound and the meditation to be great. It's really interesting. When you wear it, I feel like the sound seems like it's coming from inside of my head rather than outside at my ears, just the way the speakers are kind of aligned up on it. So the Aura Circle retails for about $200, and really well worth it if you want sort of a different sort of meditative sleep mask to go along with your practices of breathing, meditation, etc., trying to sleep. Grounding Well mats, I forgot to mention the price, $69 for the mat, $99 for the sheet. And then the final product I wanted to talk about was the sleep.me mat. So this mat actually slides underneath you when you sleep at night and monitors your sleep. It can give you information about sleep stages, heart rate. It's think of a Whoop band or something you would wear on your wrist, the Withings device that I wear. but instead of it being on you, it's within your bed now. And it's $199 for the mat. The first 30 days are free, so all the information you're getting about your sleep is being fed to an app. After that, it's a $5.99 per month subscription, which I'm not a huge fan of subscription services like this. It's to me, I think people kind of come and go with their interest in their sleep. I actually use a Withings watch, and then I actually have the Withings mat underneath my bed. It's very similar to that. And sometimes I'm really interested in the information, other times I'm not. And I think that the membership service, there's some other wearables that kind of charge that as well too. I think we should be entitled to, you buy the product, you're entitled to your own data, but it does a really good job of providing that data. And for some people who are struggling with their sleep, that information might be really helpful in terms of understanding what it is about your insomnia, what it is about your sleep problem that might be a problem. So that's it. Want to thank the people at Ryze, the Python water bottle, people at Moonbird, Chill Pill, Swanwick, BET Slumber, Organic Human Being Body Pillow, Sleep.me, Grounding Well, Firefly, and Aura Circle. I really appreciate you sending these products out to me. Do you have these products in your own home? If you tried them, let me know what you think. Dr. Chris Winter Instagram, Dr. Chris Winter TikTok. Find us on the YouTube page. You can certainly message us through there. There you can actually see the products. You can see me right now unscrewing the Python and drinking that wonderful hydrogen goodness. Listen to our Spotify playlist. Let us know what you think about the podcast. We really appreciate you taking the time to review. I just got a message from one of our listeners who said, "Hey, when you get some merch, I really want to buy some and spread the word." We sell Sleep Unplugged trucker hats. And if you're interested in one, I think we charge $25. That's just the cost of the hat. You can DM me, Dr. Chris Winter, and say, "Hey, Chris, I want a trucker hat," and we'll take care of it and get one out to you. That's it. Thanks for listening to this week's Sleep Unplugged podcast. I hope these products are helpful. And until next week, sleep well.